This is the fourth video in the binomial real options pricing model exercise. In this video, we will solve for the state prices section. If you have not completed the previous 3 videos, you should stop the video here and go back and complete the 3 steps leading up to this. All right, to begin with the state prices, we'll begin at period 0 here with a value of 1. We're going to create the probabilistic model here of the prices at each state, up or down, state up or down. So we have to factor in whether our model is anticipating an upward market or a downward market or a combination of the two. So we'll walk through. So to begin, I'm going to have to zoom back just a little bit in order to be able to get the values that we're going to use in this video. It'll make it a little bit harder to see. We'll keep it like this until we get down into this last section. We need to use these 2 values here, so we need to see them. We need to use QU and QD, as you can see from the equation. As with the other models, we start with a series where we are up states. If we have a down state anywhere along here, we just quit. It didn't work, didn't move forward. So we're going to take the upstate value here, which we have yet to calculate, but we will, and we'll raise it to the first power. It's very important that you enter this correctly because you won't see answers until we get done. We're just setting up the model. This would be the second period in which we experience an upstate. So we'll go to our upstate value and raise that to the second power. This will be the third period. So we'll go to our upstate value equals our upstate value, raise it to the third power. From now on, we're into that marketing, so we can have an up market or a down market, a state up or a state down. So we need to make provision for both of those. In this case, we would have had an up market for the fourth period. And in this case, we would have had an up market for 3 periods, and we'll multiply a down market for 1 period. And if you want, just to be clear in the notation, we can raise it to the first power. It's not necessary. Again, for clarity, we might do that. At this state, now we have had an up market for 5 periods. So equals up raised to the 5th. And we'll go down and calculate the other boundary condition, the instance of a down market. And in this state, we would have had an up market for 3 periods to get here, times a down market now, a state down for 2 periods. All right? Now we begin a section in our model where we need to account for the probability of outcomes given possibilities. And in order to do this, we need to introduce the binomial coefficient to our equation. And you see it here. It's this parenthesis n over k. That is read n choose k. It indicates the binomial coefficient, and we'll explain that a bit in class. We can work through the number that these values return, but the important thing is entering it into this formula. And how do you decide the value of n and the value of k? So let's enter that. First of all, in order to get to this state, we would have experienced Q up 4 times times Q down 1 time times, now we'll enter the binomial coefficient, and the Excel function is combin, and it asks for 2 values. It needs n, and then it needs the number chosen, which is k. The way you arrive at n each time is to take into account the periods since we began earning revenue in this case, since this tree began. This tree began in period 3, right here. So this period is a 0. The next period is 1. The next period, the period that we're in, is 2. So n is 2. These are the possible combinations that we have to this point. And we want, for this example, we want to select a particular number of those combinations. The way we're going to determine that is we're going to count from the bottom of our tree each time. In this case, the bottom position is 0. Counting up, this is position 1. So we'll count from the left for n, starting at the tree. So in period 3, we count 1, 2. We get 2 for n, comma. Then we start in the period we're in, which is period 5. We start at the bottom position, which is 0, and count up 1. It gives us n and k values. Press enter, we get that value. Now we'll go to period 6. And to get to period 6, we would have had upstate through the 6 preceding periods. We could calculate our downstate, which in this case is an upstate for 3 periods to get to here, times a downstate for 3 periods to the third. We have that value. Now let's calculate the value here. What we have is an upstate for 4 periods now to get to here, right? We've had 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to come down. Even if we come in this way, we still have 4 upstates with that final upstate. And then for this position, to get here, we're going to have had 2 downstates. Then we're going to have to factor in our binomial coefficient. So let's go ahead and complete that. We have the upstate. We had 4 to get to here, times for the downstate, we had 2 to get to here, times combin. We move over here to period 3, where we start the tree, and it's a 0, 1, 2. We are now in the 3rd period from period 3, so we enter a 3, comma. Then we're going to count up 0, 1. So k is 1. That provides that value. We press enter. Now let's solve for this period. For this period, we would have had a state up 5 times, times 1 state down, and then we'll just raise it to the first for consistency, times combin n. Again, it's the same. We start here, period 3 with a 0, 1, 2, 3. So n is 3. We'll count from the bottom 0, 1, 2. K is 2. So we have that. All right, our final column, we have, to get to here, we had state up 7 times. Raise that to the 7th power. We can go ahead and solve for our bottom value. To get to here, we had state up 3 times times state down at this point 4 times. All right. Here we are. There's our value. Now, let's go ahead and calculate these values between. We'll begin at the bottom. To get to this position, we would have had state up 4 times, you can count them, times state down 3 times, raise that to the 3rd power, times, we need to factor in our binomial coefficient, so we'll comb in. We look at our position here, year 3 where we begin, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, gives us 4 for n, that's the number. Now the combination that we want, the number that we choose, n choose k, we're going to choose starting at the bottom with 0 and position 1. So k equals 1. We have that. We move to the next one. In order to get to here, we have had an upstate 5 times. Times a state down 2 times. Get to this position, times, then our binomial coefficient, comp in, again counting over 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for n, comma, starting from the bottom 0, 1, 2, so k is 2, choose 2, and enter. Finally, this position, in order to get to here, we will have had state up 6 times, times state down. Again, you don't need to put this in, but 1 time, times binomial coefficient, comb in, counting over, we get a 4, comma, counting up from the bottom, get 0, 1, 2, 3, choose 3, 4, choose 3, we have that, enter. That completes the state prices section of the binomial real options pricing model. You'll need to move on to the next video in order to complete the exercise.